Here we are standing in the Bywood Tower in a chamber which is above the main entrance to the Tower of London, and behind me is the wall painting known as the Bywood Angel. Every day thousands of people enter the tower and walk along Water Lane, and they're unaware of this wonderful secret wall painting in the room above their heads. At the Tower of London, we really refer to this painting as the Bywood Angel, and everybody at the Tower knows what that means. But in fact, it's a much bigger painting. The paintings were rediscovered in 1953, and when they were uncovered, what was revealed was the medieval wall painting, which is on the green background, but also a fabulous Tudor fireplace, a huge fireplace, with the remains of a Tudor rose on a second wall painting. We've got a number of saints depicted on the wall. In the far corner, we've got St John the Baptist. We know he's St John the Baptist because of his attributes which he has with him. One of them is the lamb, the Agnus Dei, standing on a book, and he's holding the Agnus Dei. And of course, the Agnus Dei symbolises the sacrifice that Christ made for mankind. So the sole reason for him being in this painting really is to direct our attention to what's going on in the middle of the painting. So if we move across the painting to the centre, we've got to ignore the terrible damage that was done in the 16th century by the chimney breast. On one side, next to St John, we've got the Virgin Mary, and she's wringing her hands and looking very demure. And then on the other side, we've got the youthful St John the Evangelist holding his hand up in blessing. And when these two figures are depicted in this way, usually what that means is that in between them was Christ on the cross. So the three of them all together would make a crucifixion scene. So if we move over onto the other side, we've got St Michael the Archangel, and he's doing something very important. He is weighing the souls of the dead at the end of time. That was one of his special jobs. He is holding a very large set of golden scales, and one side has been destroyed, but it would have held good souls. And on the other side of the scales, we've got these fabulous two little devils, and what their job is to try and weigh the scales down so that the souls are sent to hell and not heaven. So the paintings themselves, or the medieval wall paintings on the green background, date from the late 14th century, and we know this for stylistic reasons. The way the faces are painted, the drooping shoulders, all of that points to a late 14th century date. Now we know from buildings accounts in the earlier 14th century that this room where the paintings are and the top floor of this tower and the tower adjacent to it were actually used by the King's Exchange, which was a part of the Royal Mint. And these wall paintings date from the late 14th century. So these wall paintings were painted for the Royal Mint at the Tower of London. It's where the nation's coinage was manufactured from the end of the 13th century right up until the beginning of the 19th century. So there's a very long history of the Royal Mint being based at the Tower of London. It's a matter of conjecture really exactly why this painting is in here, and also what the symbolism might have meant to people in the 14th century. But there are quite a lot of clues really in the iconography particularly. So we've got the painting which is telling the people in the room to remember Christ's sacrifice and the redemption that they can experience through that. But also there's a very solemn and profound warning about what will happen to their immortal soul if they break the rules. If you were working in the King's Exchange, where bullion was exchanged in lieu of tax, then of course it was very important to be honest and true. So I think this wall painting is a warning, really, to the people who worked in the Mint, using scales which would have looked very, very similar to the one that St Michael is wielding here. And there's also a chance that for those who broke the rules, they were actually tried by the Warden of the Mint in this very room, as if it were a type of courtroom, which was a not uncommon way of using chambers in gate towers in medieval castles. The Bywood Tower wall painting is over 600 years old, and whilst compared with many wall paintings in parish churches, for example, it's in very good condition. We really need it to stay that way. And so we're working hard in understanding it, carrying out research into the materials and techniques and how it's made and also why it's here. But also we have regular conservation inspections and we have ongoing environmental monitoring just to make sure it's being cared for in the best way possible.